Welcome to the Voodoo Power Podcast. Welcome to Plates of Pancakes. We're sitting down today with John Coleman. Coach Coleman is the head strength conditioning, powerlifting, and Algebra 1 teacher at Pollok Central High School in Lufkin, Texas. He also owns Coleman Athletic Performance, which is founded to help athletes wanting more and increase on-field performance. Coach Coleman is a graduate of Texas A&M with a degree in poultry science. Coach Coleman has dedicated the last 19 years of his life to working with kids, moving into a teaching role the last 7 years and coaching for the previous 5, assisting athletes to reach their peak potential while staying healthy and prepared. Coleman is high school strength coach certified and is currently working towards a CSCS. Coach Coleman enjoys training, Texas A&M football, and spending time with his wife Savannah and their son Parker. So welcome to the show, Coach.
It's good to be here.
I am really excited to sit down and do this. We've had a lot of text back and forth and kind of preparing for this, and it's been good conversation.
Yes, sir. I've loved it. I've loved, like I said, anytime we get to talk S&C, I'm excited.
Well, you're in one of those spots where you're juggling a private facility on top of working at a school. So you're the powerlifting coach, you're the algebra teacher, you're the strength conditioning coach, and then you decided that you would start a business. So how much time do you have for other things besides strength and conditioning?
I got the 3 periods of algebra I teach. That's about it. Everything else is lifting weights, running fast, jumping high, and all the good stuff. So
Now, I've listened to you talk a little bit before. What got you down the road of strength and conditioning?
so in 2018, I got fired from my job. My wife and I talked about it. I was working in summer camps. I got let go, and she was going into teaching. So we talked, and she was like, "Look, your free time, your busy time's my off time." And I'm like, "Dang, you're right. And I really like hanging out with you." And so she was like, "Hey, why don't you become a teacher and go coach? Because that way you could spend more time with kids." And me being young and naive, I was like, "Yeah, that won't take up much time." And so I scrambled. I panicked because I got fired, and that was kind of wild. And I got a hold of Jed Cates at Richland High School, who was my former OC when I was in high school. And I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking get into coaching. Can I come see how y'all operate day to day?" And I went out there, spent the day, and I met a guy named Monty Sparkman. He was their head strength and conditioning coach, and I was like, "You know what? That dude's got a cool job." So me and Monty talked. I volunteered out there that summer for their summer strength camp. And Monty, being the great guy he is, put me with the middle school kids because if you can work middle school kids right, you can work with just about anybody. So I got my feet wet in that. He calls me his first intern. The next year, I really spent working on my teaching certs, and then we moved. And we moved to a place that doesn't really have strength coaches. So I kind of gave up on that dream for a while. And then in 2021, one of the I was working I got my teaching job at Lufkin Middle School. Then in 2021, the powerlifting and strength coach opened up at a local small school. And so I took that, got that job, and been running with it ever since. And it's been kind of a wild 5 years of coaching and building and learning and all of that, all those things.
It's amazing sometimes what a good firing does for personal development.
It's a motivational tool for sure.
It's embarrassing in the moment, but sometimes it creates the most development ever.
Well, I would be in a completely different, I wouldn't be sitting down right here. I wouldn't be living where I'm living. My whole life would be different if I didn't get fired. So I'm not mad about it.
I know I've had a few in the past too that probably changed the course of direction in my life. So it is what it is. Now, the school you're at does not currently have football. So powerlifting would be your main kind of focus for
Yeah,
for
that
fall.
my main focus all year. We never stop, which I can't say enough good things about those kids and that team because they stink and work. But yeah, we don't have football. We're not going to get football. Let's get that clear. There's something weird about this area of East Texas. There are a lot of schools without football. It's very odd. But yeah, I got to give credit. Seth Ford, he's now at one of our rival high schools. He started a powerlifting team. He moved to a different school, so I came in and took over what he started. And yeah, we're this non-football school with powerlifting. It's the weirdest combo because it's not really what I think it was built for. Powerlifting was built in high school to be that if you're not good at track, you get to lift weights for to compete. And so I built it when I took over. We had 21 kids. I'm at 61 kids right now. Probably three boys teams, two girls teams. Like I said, my equip teams are pretty formidable. If I'm being honest, I have some kids. I just got kids that work. That's crazy. It's fun. It's a challenge. I like that.
So looking at powerlifting as a high school sport, in a lot of cases, people get ready for a meet. They come off a meet, they rest up, they start preparing for the next meet that's however many months away. But in high school, it's you're lifting, you're hitting meets, you're getting after it. So how do you plan this out so that a kid doesn't stall out early in the season and they're lifting their best at the end?
Fortunately, I think the fact that we lift equipped helps. So they're still learning the gear. You try to get them in gear, but there's so many things you got to do in a day. Well, how I've attacked it right now, because I mean, my kids will lift 3 weekends in a row. I just treat that as the max effort day. We come off that, it's about 72 hours. We hit dynamic effort. Then we kind of get the body moving on Wednesday, Thursday, heading into the meet, and we're back lifting max effort. And we'll follow that flow about as long as we can. If we got weekends off, if we got weekends where we have no meet and rest, I'll usually try to send them heavy on something kind of different. That's when I'll get fun and strap bands to stuff and pull down. I have them pulling down, but I mean that's been my approach to it the whole time. Is this is just max? It's a max effort day, and there's dynamic effort days, and we roll like that. And last year it worked really well for us. We didn't really see. I didn't really have anyone stall out. So if someone gets stuck, we'll go to the drawing board. We'll figure out why. Make sure they're getting sleep. Make sure they're eating. I said it's happening in the winter, so if I got a kid hit with the flu, we start dropping numbers down. We just try to adjust, but my kids know I want to walk in with the mentality we're making it to regionals. Our goal is to be good in March. I don't really care what we do in January. I just want to have good meets.
So what does your dynamic day look? Well, let me back up. How many days a week, not counting the meet, do your guys lift?
5.
Okay.
I
So
actually have a powerlifting period. So my kids, we have a designated class period for it because we're so big. And I think that's also the benefits of not having football. So they come in, we lift. So we run a pretty typical upper lower split for 4 days. And then the fifth day, some will deadlift, some will work on weaknesses, just depending on their schedule and the setup of our schedule and who gets to deadlift in the week. So that's pretty much how we flow. Is it's 4 intense days and then a fifth day of okay, let's handle what extra stuff we need to on top of what we did. But I mean, they're teenagers. I got kids that'll show up after school and max out again. They'll be fine.
they find a way to get through, don't they? I mean, they do things that are not supposed to work and they end up working and nobody has an answer for it.
Yeah, like they're teenagers. Like they're resilient, they're robust. I might as well do it when I can watch them instead of them doing it at Planet Fitness and getting thrown out. So
Hopefully you can manage the stressors when you get to watch it and you can
yeah,
direct it.
yeah, I can point them in a direction. I can make hey, like I can point them in the right direction of what I want them to do. But I had one of my kids. He's a monster. He's chasing down some regional records this year. He's a 148. And he came in. It's Friday. We were kind of off. I told him today, like, hey, single joint movements, work on your triceps, make sure you feel good. And I turn around and he's got Lord knows what loaded on a squat bar, front squatting. And I'm like, you know what? It ain't gonna hurt him. We're going to the weekend. Like he's stronger than me, so what do I care?
So on your 4 days and you're doing an upper lower split, how are you regular? I mean, obviously you said, it's hard sometimes to back those kids off when they want to go, they want to go. But how are you trying to regulate intensity on something like that?
Right now, we're running pretty heavy. So, one, lifting heavy is hard enough. Those kids, it's really awesome. It doesn't take me too much to get buy-in, and my seniors and juniors are holding standard and control the freshmen, so that helps. And they'll teach them the ways because I tell them like, guys, you just show up and do what I ask, you're gonna be fine. And we got the records and we got the accolades to prove that. And I think that's a big help on kids not running wild. And two, like I run off percentages, so they know what they're supposed to do, and they feel that first set, and then we'll kind of play with it from there, man. If they're having a good day, all right, let's put a little more on the bar. Like some days we got to back off. It's okay. Like I can't expect a teenager to come in and have a good day every day. They're not adults; they can't regulate their emotions. But we just try to keep good energy. We try to encourage each other, and I try to keep an eye. I think my boys' class is 36 right now, so I try to watch everybody. But like I said, I got some seniors that will hold the line and tell people when they're stepping out, so that helps.
What does a dynamic day look like for you guys? Are you running percentages? Are you running velocity? How are you keeping that at the speed you want?
When I run dynamic days, I really only run them in season, more just to get the body moving again. And so it's the most simple way. I'll split guys off of where I know their squats are. It's I got enough numbers on everybody to be able to figure it out. So I'll strap the right band tension on. And then it's basically like, hey guys, we're just gonna take, old school West Side split, 10 sets of two, and I want to hear the weight clink. The weight doesn't clink, lighten it up or move faster. Pick one. And we'll do that. And that gets a little haywire, but we reel the kids back in and just go from there. Like, it's a real simple split for me.
It seems to work, otherwise people wouldn't be doing it. I mean, we do something very similar and it works, so why get too carried away?
Hey, Louis knew a thing or two for sure.
I come off the 10 or 12 sets of two and I move to a 9 by 3. And I like that, but I don't have a powerlifting team. I have more athletes. So that seemed to work a little better for our situation. But yeah, you got guys in season and you're just trying to get them to feel good. 10 or 12 by 2 seems to work really well.
Yeah, I said I just want stuff moving fast. I don't even know. I said when we get to the end of it, I know the band tension. I don't know what percent of the squat it is. I just want it to cling. And I think at the end of the day, for me in season, the intent's there, and I know they're hurting. Especially we're lifting geared. If we're being honest about Texas high school powerlifting, we're borderline double plied on the squat suits at this point. So my guys are lifting in briefs and squat suits, like their bodies hurt. So I just want the weight to move fast.
Yes, that's a lot to ask a high schooler to do. With the briefs, getting those on alone's hard enough, and then you throw a squat suit on top of that. It takes a whole team to get them rigged up to go.
Hey, that's the dark side of high school powerlifting though. Like, yeah, it takes everybody, it hurts. I tell everyone like now we have unequipped divisions on the boys and girls side. I'm like, look, if you're tough, we'll put you in a squat suit. If you're not tough, we're going unequipped. It's really that simple.
Well, and then you start talking about knee wraps. If you wrap those knees right,
Oh my,
they hurt, and it's going to take the weight to get you down. So you've got to put enough weight on to get you down in your suit, your briefs, and your knee wraps. You're
oh
packing a
yeah.
lot of pounds.
Yeah, like I made the mistake. I got a super last year. It took him so long to get in briefs and squat suits. We hit season. I looked up and I go, I don't know what he can do. So I opened him up at 385. And at state, he hit 675. So we were way too light at the beginning of the season, but it all worked out, I guess, at the end.
So at the beginning of the season at 385, could he get the depth? Did he have enough weight on the bar?
No, he wasn't even close. He got down. I was like, man, what's wrong? He looked at me. He goes, I can't get down. I was like, all right, add 100 pounds. Like, it's the first meet. Let's find like you're a big dude. I know you're strong. Let's find out where the limit is.
That's what we noticed. We changed the way we were wrapping knees, and we had to start adding weight to the bar just to get down to depth because them wraps would just suck it all up.
Oh yeah, and you got teenage boys. They take it personal when it comes to wrapping someone's knees. Like it is a competition on how tight that thing can get. And we got a knee wrap roller, so it's coming out tight already. And hey, as long as I don't have to do it, I don't care.
The last that was it. The last meet, I took a bunch of kids with me, and I lifted too. I'll tell you what, we took a little pre-workout. I don't know where they bought that stuff, Mexico or somewhere. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, and I was wore out by the time I wrapped all these knees that I hit my goal for a squat, and I was done the rest of the meet.
Oh, that's awesome. That's the fun part of it. Like it's such an unregulated sport. Like those kids are crazy. I'm like, y'all got to be crazy to do this. Like powerlifting hurts.
You watch some of the back slaps they lay on each other, and you're like, "What the heck are you doing?" That
They've outlawed it in our association.
really.
We can't slap, which I'm like, that's good because someone would probably get slapped in the face at this point. Like I said, my kids are kind of crazy. I love it. It's fun. It makes it fun. Like they know what they're there for. But yeah, we outlawed it. I'm like, man, I remember that from my days of doing it. Like you get slapped, it hurts. You get up there and lift. We got to add the fun back into it.
I'll tell you what I learned last meet, and I bet you can relate. Your wife may do it for you. My wife helps tremendously pack the powerlifting bag for all the stuff that may get forgot, may get left. You've got Tylenol, you have all these things. I did learn that you need to bring extra socks, underwear, and shorts because inevitably anything can happen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like we've had it happen. I mean, I don't know about socks. I don't really wear shoes, but like, oh yeah, we pack everything. And if there's anything I'm good at, I know we're gonna do good at regionals if I forget things, and I've forgotten a lot. So things like entry fees and release the liabilities. So we panic a little bit and make sure we get all that stuff. I got some understanding parents. So I'm appreciative of that.
Well, it's just a growing deal. And then we have a checklist that gets bigger and bigger all the time. And,
Yeah.
like you said, we'll forget something important like the knee wrapper. Yeah, then you got kids trying to hurry up and roll them by hand. We've bought more and more knee wraps so that now we have the extras, but inevitably some kid likes those inserts better than these elite FTSs, and another kid's wearing them, so he wants to wait. And then you're trying to judge the time to wrap them. Okay, we're 3 out. Well, then, this guy's a slow guy, so let's hack it down. We'll wrap you at 2. Yeah, it's a crazy, unregulated mess.
Man, that's it. But that makes it fun. I love it. Like we go to meets and they're the biggest meet we go to, one year they had 15 racks. Most of our meets have 5 to 6. And I thought it's just fun. Like you're looking, we wear green. I'm finding it like we're moving weight. You barely got time before you got another kid going up because I got 24 of mine to lift at one time. But I said, and then you talk about like knee wraps. Yeah, the freshmen have no idea when to come out, no matter how many times. I'll sit there, freshmen's knee wraps. All right, how far out are you? 5. All right, like this is going to go bad. I'm letting you know right now. It's going to be terrible.
You're not going to be able to feel your feet when you walk out there.
Did I know something wrong? I'm like, yeah, you learned a lesson today.
Yeah, yeah, we may have to retake this weight because you're not going to know where your toes are.
But it's fun. Like I love it, and the kids, there's something about when a kid hits a big weight, whatever that weight is for them. Man, they like you can't hide the smile. Like they just love it. You feel good. Like they know they just did something they never thought possible, and that's just part of that sport too. That just makes it so fun because I don't know. Like I've recruited the math club at school, so I got kids that at least I don't have to worry about grades. But
Yeah, most people don't think of recruiting their math section as power lifters, but hey, if it works,
hey, I don't have an offensive line, so got to find somebody. They at least know numbers.
yeah, they can help all the dumb kids, right? That's not 85%.
That's not what 225 is.
Yeah, they're helping kids convert everything into kilograms.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's wild.
I love powerlifting. I love discussing powerlifting, but we'll look at it from a different point of view. As the powerlifting coach, you have to adapt ideas to athletes. And I get it. We're not power, you hear that all the time from strength coaches. We're not power lifters, we're athletes. Yes, I get that. But Louis Simmons and the powerlifting world have given us so much of what we use to make athletes that there is a big crossover right there. So how do you take what you know and what you're good at on the powerlifting side and bring it to your athletes?
I mean, I think that's it. I think it fits really well, especially like my school. Like the kids need the absolute strength. So, I think that's the epitome, right? It's the sport of showing off your absolute strength. So that helps us. That helps us, bring in the strength side, bring up the, neuro recruitment, the muscles, and all that. And the big difference is I've had kids ask me, and they're like, "Oh, what do we do different than your power lifters?" I was like, "Well, you both squat. That doesn't make you a power lifter." But y'all they surf the force velocity curve a lot different than I'm going to surf it with the power lifters. Because like powerlifting, like at the end of the day, it's absolute. And I'm using this absolute strength to increase speed strength, to increase, you know, max strength. Like that's why we're sprinting, that's why we're jumping. So it's taught me into that. I said reading Louis stuff, like I mean, I think that's what Louis bragged about is like not just the world records, but like the guys he had jumping 62-inch boxes, and you know, and they weren't small dudes either. Those are big dudes that he had jumping up there. And I think he talked about having a guy running 10 800-meter dash. I'm like, that's hard. These dudes are just big power lifters.
Well, nobody talks about his Olympic champions and Ohio State sending their track kids and all the football kids he worked with. I mean, it was a wide range of people that was in there.
Right. That's it's not talked enough about too. Like you said about Ohio State kids. That's what I always tell my guys I train, and they're like, "Are we doing powerlifting?" Well, when Ohio State couldn't get the kid right, they sent him to Louis. And I think that says a lot about how smart Louis was and finding the weakness and fixing it for that sport because like I know Ohio State's got great strength coaches. I know they have a whole department for exercise science. Those guys don't miss. And even when they were like, we're stumped, they sent it down to this dude down the road that could fix it. And, Louis, you listen to any of his videos, it's like, oh, yeah, it took me 6 weeks. And it's just like, holy cow, man, that's incredible.
When he talks about dropping 40 times and never running a kid, that's insane. The times he was dropping and never even had the kid run.
No, I mean, you're talking about he's dropping tenths of a second a week. I think he's talking about cutting 4 or 5 tenths of a second off in like 6 weeks or a month or something. I'm like, goodness.
You listen to him talking that football video. Have you ever watched it? And he's like, I quit doing it. It was too easy.
But I watched it because I get to work with, I've had the privilege of working with some football kids, and he's right. The weaknesses are all the same. Like when they come in, and I don't want this to be a knock. Like obviously, I don't train football, and I know there's some great strength coaches that work with high school football teams, especially in Texas. But like the kids I've seen, yeah, it's the same. It's the same stuff Louis talked about. He's like, fix this, and all of a sudden they're 1,000 times better. And you know, yeah, that's it. He was right.
What I think I notice, and I could be wrong on this, is maximal strength raises the peak of the pyramid, and then your dynamic effort and your speed work, speed strength creates a bigger base, is what it seems
Yeah,
like to me. So if you keep those balanced, your base gets bigger and your peak gets taller. Your base gets bigger, your peak gets taller. And then everything in between there is the curve that you're trying to fit athletes in.
yeah. I mean, I fully agree with that. Like I think squat numbers are just so easy to track. Well, I look at the squat numbers to the body weight ratio, and I know they've talked about, and I see more like high school kids. We want to get kind of 2 to 1, and I box squat, but it's the front rack position. So I'm looking for that 2 to 1 body weight to squat weight rate ratio. And yeah, once I get there, you start developing pretty wide base on the speed strength. Like that's where I'm seeing the top times of my sprinters. That's where I'm seeing my verts all at pretty much the maximum that I'm trying to train for. And so, yeah, you got to raise that absolute strength because it's how you call on the body to work.
And some kids work opposite of others is something that I think I've saw. So some kids, you have to get them better at moving a lightweight fast neurally so that their max strength will go up, and others you have to get their max strength up so that they can move a lightweight faster. It's weird that you can have two different kids, you can have two kids standing there and each of them needs something different. So if you're not attacking both of those ideas, one of those kids is going to get left behind.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, because that's it, right? Like, I don't want. I think it's Monty says like, how fast are you strong? And I think that's it because once you learn to move the lightweight fast, you understand how to explode into a bar on those heavy weights.
That's where we've improved this last year, and I'm probably more hung up on that than I was in the past. But what are you moving at zero point 0.6 meters per second? And how can we get that to where you're moving more at zero point 0.6 meters per second?
Yeah, that's what I do. That's more on my private side. We don't have the VBT yet at school. I don't know. I don't know if I'm ready to set that up and watch that right now. But yeah, like I want to know how fast you move weight. And once you find it and you can watch it, all right, now I want you to take a little bit more and do the same thing. And I think a lot of these kids figure out that once you start watching, you can tell and feel that drive. All of a sudden, they're running that same, that zero point 0.6, zero point 0.7 meters per second. And they're just climbing weight. And they're like, oh, it keeps moving. Yeah, great, good. We're learning how to do new things.
I will also say this. I think tracking speeds helps kids work through some form ideas. It gives them a little autonomy. Okay, what if I set my knees like this? Can I be faster? What if I bring my butt back further in the box? Can I be faster? It works as a coach in a lot of different ways, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I see that in jumping too, where kids will shuffle the feet, shuffle how far they dip, try to find what works for them as we move feet around where their ideal jumping position's at. I mean, I think that's it because like I said they see results, and these kids need to see some kind of tangible measurement.
I think they're not outside doing some of the different things and everybody talks about it and I get it and it's not going back. So we are where we are, but giving them that autonomy to work through some stuff and not coaching every single aspect is probably as close as we're going to get to a throwback kid that played outside as possible.
Yeah, because I mean, I knew how to jump, but I'd spend all summer. I'd ride my bike to my friend's house and we'd play around outside all day, and I'd ride home. Or my mom would keep the bike rack on her car and pick me up from wherever I was, which hopefully I was telling the truth about, but I don't remember anymore.
I can guarantee you that I wasn't half of the time. We'd be 5 miles up, we'd be at the next town up. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're just gonna go to the railroad tracks. So in setting this up, I'd listened to you with John Mark, and I don't know how much down this rabbit hole you are anymore, but I always enjoy talking 531. I know you're a 531 fan. What did you do experimental wise with that? And have you progressed that any?
I think what it looked like when I talked to John Mark. I ran it. I ran a really aggressive version of 531. I like it. Jim Wendler's a genius. It's simple. Like if anyone, it was with a book I was told to read first, and so I read, 531, and then every other copy that Jim Wendler's come out with. And I would run, I would run it with 5 sets, kind of give some warm up sets, increase that volume, and then I would run it based off how many reps the final set went, and I'd kind of cap it for time purposes, and I would adjust my weights, my training maxes for the next session off that. So like if we had the 5+ week, if they hit between 11 and 14 reps, I was going to up that weight 5 pounds. If they hit 15, I was upping it 10 pounds. Because, you're talking about, especially with teenage boys, I mean, there can be no limit. Well, I think I had a power lifter. He ran through it. I mean, we ran the 4 day a week version of it. And I think 3 times in one semester, he didn't hit the max reps. And I was up in that weight every single time. The only downside of that is that's a lot of work to sit there, look at all that, update everything. And I was doing that for my sports teams. I was doing that for everybody. We were running some version of 531. Shifted, like I said, to a little heavier this year. So I still run it for my RDL cycles, but I mean, it's great. Like it will get your kids right.
And there's so many different variations that you can find one that works for you. I think we ran, like you said, a 5 set. So you've got your Your last set, you're hitting for 3 reps.
I know people that run that last one for 3 reps. I've run it, always ran it as a plus set. I mean, you can run it. I've known people run it off VBT, and if it falls below a certain speed, you stop. I say it's just so versatile. But what it gives you, especially with that training max, is I think teenagers are really good about getting hyped up to max, which means when if you try to run without using a training max, they are toast.
Yes, I agree with that very much. What we did that kind of worked was so you're going to do the final weight for 3 sets. I would let them I would let them go up as long as they were hitting the reps. So say with the training max, they're benching and it's 205. Okay, 205 for 3. Well, I'll let you go up. So we'll go to 210, 215. If you hit that for 3, you're good to go up one more time, you know. And so we'll go 225. You can hit and whatever you hit it for, you hit it for, but that's your ceiling.
Oh, so you'd kind of run that last percentage for three, like 3 sets of 3.
Or 3 sets of 5 or whatever it is.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So that's smart. I like that
And I
because you're
think
sitting there in that heavyweight and letting them kind of compete a little bit.
yeah, and so let's say they come in and they're trashed. Well, they're just going to hit the main weight, whatever that is. Let's say it's a 5 week and you're hitting 85% or whatever. Okay, just send it, just stay there. They come in and they're feeling good. That gives them a little bit of room to kind of push a rep max up.
No, I like that. Yeah, because like we said, right? I don't know if you got broken up with your girlfriend or your boyfriend. I don't know if you had a test in, geometry that whooped your tail. I don't know what your home life's like and how you're coming in prepared for the day. So yeah, I mean, right? Like, hey, like, here's the minimum of what I need today. Let's go. I like that.
I thought when I started looking at Prolepin's chart, I thought it fell in there really well.
It gives you that mix. You get the dynamic effort sets because you get them, hey, moving fast. You get a dose of that. Then you get those heavier sets where you're getting into that more power, more, absolute strength kind of threshold. It's just a really nice, easy way to cover all your bases.
And you don't have to do so much programming like you said. When you start looking at rep maxes and finding a new training max and all of that, that's a lot of work. Where this, you kind of can cut them loose. Okay, this is where you're at, this is where you're doing good. Then we can adjust, we can see how you're feeling, and hopefully keep you on the right track. You talked about buying all the books. I think it's 531 Forever that has all the programs in it. I've got it all tabbed out. I made tabs that has all the workouts in it.
No, I love it. Yeah, like I read 531 football, 531 powerlifting. I don't think I found 531 forever until it was too late. So
The thing is I like the way he writes. It's just so I don't know.
it's easy.
It is.
It makes sense.
It's like reading Henry Rollins stuff. It's just out there. It's in your face. It's not filtered. It's just if you like it, you like it. If you don't, hey, that's okay.
I don't think Jim Wendler tries to be for everybody. So
No, and I will say this about him is when he came on the show, they always tell you, you don't want to meet your heroes or whatever, but I'm very glad I met him. He is exactly like you think he is. He was honest, brutally honest, but incredibly nice to talk to. I mean, it was everything I hoped it could be.
no, that's awesome to hear. I've listened to a lot of podcasts that he's on. I'm sure I've listened to one with you and him. Like it just, yeah, he's so knowledgeable. I know he's working at the high school level, so that makes it relatable. Because you need some of these guys. It's like, man, yeah, but you're dealing with grown men, and I'm dealing with a kid that forgets to bring a pencil.
Yes, and you're fighting with them about every little thing. You got a junior high kid arguing with you about your programming.
Yeah, we're not doing enough bicep curls, or you know, he doesn't like the way it feels when he squats down or something. His toe hurt from 3 days ago when he sprained it, and I'm just like, guys, come on. And then you try to teach him to RDL, and it's just all downhill after that.
There is not enough words to describe it for them, is there?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I taught a 10-year-old how to RDL, and that might be the crown jewel of my strength coaching career. Because I got a 10-year-old to RDL correctly, and I'm like, I'm done. That's it. It
There's
doesn't get better than this moment.
there's nowhere to go from here.
I've conquered the most difficult thing.
The only other thing that might be more difficult is teaching them how to count plates.
Oh my gosh.
I thought it was a natural thing, but no, you have to have a math class for teaching how to load the bar.
I was like, yeah, every year when I get the freshman, I'm like, the numbers are written on the stuff. And then it's, what does this bar weigh? All bars weigh 45 pounds. Even this bar, even that bar. Does it really? Dude, I don't know anymore. It just weighs 45 pounds.
Yeah, this bar has tape on it. It should weigh more.
This one's curved weird. That's fine. It's still 45 pounds. And then, they're sitting there and you get like, hey, write me what you did. I had a 25 and a 45. All right, well, let's start doing some math here. Or they'll be
It's
like, or I'll have, some of them, oh, there were two 45s on the bar. On one side or on the whole bar? On the whole bar. Okay, well, that's really 145.
it's like getting an apprentice and having him read out measurements on a tape measure.
Oh my
Well,
gosh.
the big line in the middle, I'm two lines past that, and it's just right in there somewhere. Okay. I give you the wrong end of the tape measure, obviously.
I was like, we're done. Get out. Just leave.
So balancing athletes' private schedule with school, when you're on the private side, you're balancing with some of the work you're trying to do. I can't even imagine how difficult it is, especially when you're in charge of both. But how are you able to kind of get that working for you?
Um, like life in general, or like programming for everybody, or programming for those private kids, or wait, yeah, phrase that question one more time. It's late.
It's fine, man. I got you. Balancing the programming from the public side to the private side, because you probably have some kids from your school that are coming to lift with you privately. You got kids from other schools that are lifting with you privately. How are you able to hit the buckets they need and get done what you want to get done on both sides of the scale?
Um, Fortunately for my stuff, I know my gaps. Right. I think you and I talked about that briefly through text. Like, I got half an hour, 35 minutes. So there's gonna always, I think, in the public coaching template, there's always going to be a gap, just because you can't hit it all. So that helps. When it comes to kids at other schools, they're really good at telling me what they're like. Hey, what did you do today? All right, what was your rep scheme? Usually off that, because most of one school of kids I work with, they follow a very basic linear progression. So, they can be like, oh, we did sixes. Oh, okay, cool. 75%? Yeah. Okay, great. And we can move on from there. They're also like that school, for example. I don't want to badmouth them. I think it's great. Their kids are in the weight room, but they're getting trained by a coach that doesn't have a strength coaching background. So, God bless them. They're doing their best work, and I love that. Right? Like they're getting in there. They know they got to do it to get their kids better. So that one's a little easier. And like I said, I just ask them what they're doing, and they tell me, and we talk, and I see how fresh they're feeling, and we fill the buckets they're missing. I try to run upper lower days for the kids in off season, but there might be days where it's like, hey man, we did a lot in the weight room. I'm like, all right, did we get heavy? No. All right, let's get heavy. Hey, we did a lot. We were heavy. All right, let's get fast. Let's feel single joints. Let's make sure the backside of the body is protected. Let's throw things. Big fan of throwing things, especially just because I have space. So why not? I think we're getting a radar gun, so that's going to make it really fun.
Yes, we were supposed to get one last year for our throwers and then we didn't. So um, now I'm down on throwers. So I don't know when I'll get one eventually. But the one thing is kids are genuinely going to be weak in the same spot. So if nothing else, you can hit posterior chain and you're going to be okay.
Yeah, like you're not going to overtrain the backside of the body. Um, we jump a lot. Not a lot of people around measure the verts, so I'll jump the verts. And then, if you dive far enough into what Louis Simmons teaches, there's some odd objects isn't the right word, but sled drags, bell marches, trap bar carries. There's stuff we can do that I know elect great responses from the body. They check a lot of boxes of what we want to make resilient. And more than likely, it's not happening at school. So we can check that, and that's helped just sure things up. Because like I said, on the private side, for them, if they're training at school, my job's to supplement and give them that little bit extra. My job's to fill the buckets that we know don't necessarily get filled.
And you're putting them in an environment that's possibly a little more competitive because they want to be there. So then you can drive up intent and hit the things that are really going to make them stand out.
Yeah, like money is involved. That's just the honest truth of it. And that's it. They want to be there. So I know they're working hard on their own side. They come in there, they want to get a little bit better. They want to see the results. And that adds fun pressure for me because I'm like, yeah, like these parents aren't paying me to build JV athletes. They're not paying me for their kid to be the same in 3 months. So, we got to make sure that I have to make sure that I'm programming intelligently and efficiently to make sure we're driving, verts up, sprint times down, broad jumps out. I said, when we get to measuring throws are getting faster. I think we almost ripped the cable off my VBT, so we're not going to do that again.
What you said in there makes a lot of sense. And I don't think I have thought about it in those terms, but you're exactly right. While our gym's free, the idea still stays the same. They're not letting their kids come out here to be JV athletes. Whatever you're doing, you better keep driving it forward, or they'll just, they'll decide to do something different.
Yeah, and that's it. They'll go. Like I said, I take a lot of pride in making sure I put forth good programming. I have to do that at my school. Like that's what I like about it. It's a challenge. Like those kids got to come first. I know I got to provide good programming. I got to propel our sports up. I got to see our metrics move. But yeah, on the private side, same thing. Like I'm very blessed to work with some very, very gifted athletes. And, there's pressure because there's now money on the line for some of them. And like I said, I don't know. There's a sick part of it that I guess makes it a lot of fun. Because, you got NIL, I got a baseball player, we got draft stock. That's very real. So we got to figure it out.
That comes with a whole new weight. And it was something I found out fairly quickly with some athletes. Like, this is bigger than just lifting weights with some kids. This is, for these kids, this is everything they have is going into this. And high school coaches deal with it too. I'm not taking that away from their side too. They have the same problems we have as a kid's in front of you. His whole dreams are wrapped up into this, and you're trying to find the way to get them where they want to go.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, our big high school in town, like our town has a 5A high school. And then there's a bunch of smaller schools. I work at one of them that surround it. They got a great strength coach over there. And so it's kind of just partnering, piggybacking off what he's doing. Because yeah, there's kids with real stuff on the line. Like I got a basketball kid, he's committed, but it's like, okay, great, your education's paid for. Now there's NIL deals. I don't know how much better he's got to be at basketball for him to get a sweeter deal, but I'm trying to find out. Like I want that for him.
I'll tell you what, this year's been a huge learning curve for us because you start talking NIL, you start talking about a kid that's getting ready to go somewhere really good, and he maybe there's some schools there that they don't want to take visits to, but it's in the conference that other schools you do want to go to are got money on the line. So now you're trying to help them navigate. Well, even though you don't want to go to that school, you need to go to visit because now you can leverage the school you do want to go to for more money, and it's put us in a whole new territory that I never thought we would be in.
I mean, it's wild. I know some people don't like it. I was at A&M when Johnny Manziel won the Heisman, which I mean, Johnny's been pretty open, right? I know he was getting paid by somebody for something, but the schools make a lot of money. I want the kids to leverage it. Like, make some money. They're going to use you to make money. Get yourself some. I got no issue with it.
However they want to run it is how they want to run it. I view it the same way. If you don't have to go be a broke college kid, don't be a broke college kid.
Yeah, I mean, they made like the Fab Five documentary talks about that. Like, when you get these kids that are broke, that puts them in situations that can be dangerous. That puts them in situations that they can make life altering decisions and not in a good way all the time. So yeah, like, and plus they're talking about they're not allowed to work. Like, if you ever read the NCAA stuff, what it used to be like, they can't do anything. So yeah, if they're not feeding them off the meal plan, they might not eat. So yeah, which
I
I'll love it.
yeah, and you know all the things that aren't talked about in athletics now is protected to a certain degree. If you tore up a knee and you wasn't able to play, hey, we'll just cut you and we'll give your scholarship to somebody else.
Yeah,
It's been business for those schools for a long time, and then now the playing field leveled up.
yeah, it gave some power to the athletes because that was it. They were working for free, and there were some that you're right, knee injuries, life altering injuries, and it was just like, oh well, thanks. If the school is nice, you got the rest of your schooling paid for. But I don't think smaller schools are that nice. Like, like the big schools, yeah, you have to because you have an image. But small ones, all right, it's been fun. Bye.
It's an interesting place we're going to with it all. And
Yeah,
one of these days it could put some other things at jeopardy, and that is the one thing that worries me. How it will, if we decide these athletes at the college level are professional, how that's going to affect Title IX and how that's going to affect the smaller sports that don't create revenue.
I mean,
Will that
I do hate that because there are, we got Stephen F. Austin's up the road from us. They have the national championship bowling team, which crazy. That's kind of cool, I guess. And that's on the chopping block because I mean, it does do that, which that's shame on the athletic departments for letting that happen. You're not getting your cut like you used to, so now you're upset with it.
you'll look and see probably what schools like Oregon did and Stanford did, cutting some of those programs that people really love, but they're just going to say, well, we're spending all of our money on these sports, basketball and football. Maybe up north it could be hockey. Big Ten wrestling might make it, but some of these other places wrestling may not make it. What will women's sports do in some of these spots with rowing and swimming and diving and all of that stuff? So it'll be unique going into the future how that shakes out.
Yeah, I'm sure in the next couple of years we'll see some regulations come in. I think we have to. I think it's much too wild, but so I'm still pro the athletes getting a little bit of their cut.
I don't disagree with that. And right, anything in its infancy is going to be the wild, wild west until some rules and stuff gets set in to level it out. Well, that was way down a rabbit hole that was not really on any of the notes. So me and you had talked about this, and I think it's a good point in some conversations this week. Is we all have egos. We're driven to some extent by what our ego tells us to do, but learning to put that aside for the betterment of the athlete. How have you been able to do that where the athlete's accomplishment is the athlete's accomplishment and you're just in the background doing what you can to support that?
I think maturity's helped that. I think when I started out, it was because we talked about like now I'm all of a sudden doing private stuff. Like, why would my athletes go somewhere else? Like, I'm the guy. I should be the best. And it's like, no, they want to go somewhere else. Good. Maybe someone can teach them something I can't. Maybe someone can simplify something I can't. But like I said, it's all to me. It's the athlete. Like, I've had heads butt with people before, and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to get famous, especially in a town of 30,000 people. I just want to go to work. I want to help kids, and I want to go home to my family. And I think we lose sight on that. Like, I want the kids to play their sport, and I want them to be able to play it as long and as healthy as they can. Whether they're going to college or not, that's that's irrelevant. Like, I don't want to miss games, and that's why I work with the kids. Is they want to work, I want to work. And I think that to me is putting the ego because I think too many coaches would get hung up on I got to do everything. If someone else helped them, then I don't get the credit. And I'm like, no, like I try to avoid people. Like, I don't like getting the compliments from people. Oh man, thanks for what you do, man. I'm just here to work with kids. I'm here to see them have fun. I'm here to see them learn skills beyond. It's not a squat, learning how to work hard, learning how to encourage teammates, learning that, hey, we're going to work for X amount of time for this result. And that's it. Like, I just want to see kids have fun.
that's very close to where I landed. What can we do to help? And then how can we stay out of the limelight? And we'll go to games just like you go to games, and we'll have people come talk to us like every strength coach does. Thank you for what you do. And I'm kind of like you. It's just like, you play it off and you go on. Uh, I just want to see the kids do what it is they want to do and then go back to the gym.
Yeah. Well, I'm there to see the hard work in person. It's like, thank you for all the work you did. What, told them to squat and come up? Like, told them to sit down and get up. That's like, that's it. They wanted to work. I fixed some stuff. I just want to see them have fun. I want to see them go dominate their sport. I want to see them get the accolades. And, if they get pushed beyond that, cool. If that's where it ends, I want them to play as far into the playoffs as they can. Because, like I think we all know, and this is why we get into coaching, is like it ends at some point. And so any way I can help that kid get another game, one more opportunity, that's all I care about.
And that's at the end of the day, that brings more fulfillment than anything I've probably ever done in my life for sure.
Right. No, 100%.
Some of the conversation we've had back and forth this week was in John Mark's podcast. You got into baseball a little bit, you got into softball a little bit, and to listen to you talk about it, it was very much how we coach softball. So I enjoyed that whole run you had. So we'll go through some questions of that before it gets too late. We both fall asleep. But
Come on.
setting up the sprints, knowing times, knowing hard data, so that when you go into a game, nothing's left unfigured. How do you how do you help a coach set that up, and then how do you improve some of these sprint times over the course of a season?
Man, so we look at it, and for us, we actually found out the softball side, which makes me a lot less stressed if I'm being honest. But we found out on the baseball side, we start off, what's the catcher's pop time? If you got a college catcher, you're talking 1-9. So we're trying to steal, we start working backwards from there. So to the mound, you're probably talking the best we'd see is a 1-1-1-2 from the mound to the catcher. So we're like, all right, we're sitting in when we steal, we got about 3.3 seconds. And we got to start figuring it back from that. So we run a lot of 20-yard, I run 20-yard dashes. I would say I run 20 yards a lot. I time 20-yard dashes about once a month. It's shocker. My fast kids are fast at that too. Um, but we want to know though. Like my baseball coach this year, he wants to know because he's like, look, I need a pinch runner. Tell me who can run. He's like, I'll teach him when to go. Just tell me who's the fastest. Easy. And I just take the game at 90 feet increments. I tell my kids like, hey, I can get you a double. I can get you up to second pretty quick. You start going triple or you want inside the park, that's between you and God. Like I can't like I'm not about to start trying to sprint you in 90 yards and rest periods and no, like that's too much. I'll do the feed the cats method, by Tony Holler. We're gonna run fast, we're gonna rest. This year I'm fixing a lot of stuff on the fly on timing gates. So if I don't like something, we're not drilling it. It's me telling you like, hey, look, I want to see it look like this, and we're just going to use the low dosage method over the course of the next 8 months. But like I said, I like it for the time wise because I want to know who's fast. I want to know who's automatic. Well, I've had guys in the past. My only guy that's hit 23 miles an hour was a center fielder from a couple years ago. And that was fun because he was fast enough that it was just automatic. He'd get the first, they'd throw a pitch, he'd stand on second. And it was just that fun. And I'm like, yeah, we're trying to get back to that mentality again. But I mean, it's a simple approach. Like I said, we get 3 or 4 sprints in twice a week and time them, rank them, tell them where they sit. The freshmen look terrible, but they'll get fixed, and we go from there.
Looking at it this way, I think baseball has come around to softball logic more than I ever thought it would be the last few years as I watch it. There's been a lot of use of a short game that baseball players hated in the past. It almost had a stigma to it, bunting guys around, moving defensive players. How has that changed the game for you guys that may not have a bunch of five toolers.
I think it changes a lot because so this was the adjustment when I'm at a 3A. I grew up at a 5A. Not only would I grow up at 5A, I grew up at a baseball powerhouse. And I wasn't one of the powers. Me and the head coach had an understanding. I wouldn't come out for his team. He wouldn't run me till I hated myself. It was a great understanding because I played offensive line, so I didn't have to run. Um, but I was used to the long ball. I was used to everybody can pitch. And they were like, I like got to my school and I was like, when's the last time y'all I was like, how many home runs you hit last year? They're like, none. What about the year before? None. Okay, we're not going to play power baseball. And so like that was fun, and I use it, especially my kids, because I know the speed we can get to is I'm like it stresses kids out. Like where y'all get stressed out of, oh, it's a bad Tuesday. Oh man. Like we talked about earlier, my girlfriend broke up with me. They're going through the same things. We can stress the catcher out. They're a high schooler. They're not good at stress. He's sitting there knowing you're about to go, and here's options are let you go or throw you down. And if he tries to jump that, now we got a pass ball. Now you're on third. Life's good. And so that's what I think it does is it just stresses the infield. They got to stay disciplined. They got to stay on the same page. And if I have any money to bet on high schoolers, communication's bad. And staying on the same page is worse.
And it's amazing to me a lot of times is how much it's not coached. So you're taking advantage of something that these kids don't even know how to do. So you set up for a steal, shortstop takes a step to third. Well, and then you're showing bunt, you're walking into second. Well,
Oh yeah.
now the coach is yelling at the shortstop. What I found is it's more of a breakdown of the opponent's coach than it actually is the opponent's players.
I got to watch baseball more closely then.
Well, I look at it from softball. So my brother and I coached with him for years, and he kind of plumbed me up on that. He's like, all we have to do is make their kids make mistakes, and then watch that coach melt down. And once the coach melts down, it's smooth sailing from then on the rest of the game.
I mean, I see that on the softball side. The softball, because when my high school, I come out of my weight room, there's a softball field. So I'm usually their game first, baseball second, because their game's nice and ends in 45 minutes. Baseball plays for 9 years. But yeah, like the softball side, like I said, anything you can stress on baseball, I think you can do it better on softball.
I agree.
There's going to be different gaps. Now we got a pretty good softball district, but we got our head coach in softball. I told her, I was like, look, I fully believe I can get 1 through 9 still second. And she goes, you really think you can do that? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. So now I'm putting my money where my mouth is. And that's it. Like, I want to stress out the catcher. I want to stress out the second baseman and the shortstop so that we can go. And if they put us on, they know we're in scoring position. And I
And,
do have power hitters coming down that lineup too.
and if you can start setting it up, it's just a snowball that rolls. So you show bunt, you steal second. If that shortstop comes over to second and third base comes down and doesn't go back, well, now you're standing at third. Well, then
Yeah.
now you got a coach over there screaming, jumping up and down in the dugout. So then you do it again. You know what I mean? Before too long, you're just rotating players around the field.
Yeah. You got the slapper comes up, just puts one right over the second baseman's head. There's nothing anyone can do about it. Yeah. And we're just off to the races. Like, there's a run rule for a reason. I want to get to it.
I think a lot of times the base running portion of it is so overlooked, and having smart kids on the base paths that wins a lot more games than what it probably gets coached.
I agree. I think we saw it in the state title game. There's been base running errors. I've seen it in ours. And I think part of that though comes down to kids don't watch baseball and softball on TV anymore. So I want to make sure that's the little things. I'm not saying I know the game well. I was bad at coach pitch, but I understand if I break it down into 90 and 60 feet increments, I can make you pretty deadly because I'm not worried about if they screw up and you got turn two. Like, just get one. If we can move one base at a time, we're in a good spot, especially when we're talking about steals and mistakes.
And in
Yeah,
those games, yeah, those games, the first one to score puts so much pressure, especially in a tight game. It puts so much pressure on the defense now, even one run.
Yeah, and I look at it too, like the more if we can get one guy on and we can steal, all right, now we're running up pitch counts. I know softball doesn't have it, but those arms are exhausted. I think that's a whole different rabbit hole to go down. But like baseball, yeah, I want you to have to pitch. I want you to then be worried because if you throw a bad pitch and my guy gets on, congrats, you're now throwing at least three more for us. And the faster we can run up some pitch counts, the better.
I'll tell you what I saw the other day, and I never thought of it when I was coaching, but if I had, we would have done it a lot. So you got a sack fly, you got a kid on third. We always have them tag up, hold your ground, hold your ground, hold your ground. I watched the game the other day. They sack fly, they put the runner, let's say he was just 10 foot behind the bag. So he got a moving start and he hit the bag as the ball was getting caught. How do you get that guy out?
Yeah, because instead of him starting from a dead stop, now he's full speed.
He's full speed and
Now he's moving.
he just has to time the bag up. Well, now you have time because it doesn't matter as soon as they catch it because you're already moving through that bag at an accelerated speed. And the base path is the base path. So whatever you choose is the base path.
Oh my gosh, that's a genius. Yeah, I think I'm going to be relaying that to some baseball, softball coaches.
Oh, I can only imagine the first time you do it, listening to the visiting crowd just freaking go wild. But if you're in foul territory, it really doesn't matter at all where you're at.
No, it doesn't. And you're talking about coming down third. It's a straight shot.
Yeah, so
Not pulling up.
all you have to do is pull out of foul territory into fair territory, grab the bag, and boom, you're off and going.
Yeah, I'm going to relay that one to the baseball coaches. They'll like that.
It was unique to see, and I'm like, why didn't I ever think of that? That never dawned on me to give them a running head start.
But I mean, that's what makes you'll never see that in the pros, even if it works. But
This
that's what
wasn't
makes
this. I want to say this was in the pros.
really.
Yes, it was a pro game.
Hey, we'll bring it to the high school level.
Now there could be a rule in there that I'm not aware of, but I can't think of a rule that says where a player has to stand. Now, a softball girl has to be on the bag when the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, but once the ball leaves the pitcher's hand, there's no rule that I know of that says they can't step back behind the bag. As long as they're in foul territory, they're out of play.
I can't think of one either. I like it. Like whatever. I mean, that you doing that alone is going to confuse the infield. No one's going to know what you do if you back up off a bag.
Could you? I can hear the opposing team now. They can't do that. They can't do that. You got refs looking through, got umpires looking through rule books. I'm like,
They're on Google.
yeah, I don't see where you can't. So yeah, it would definitely change the game, especially in a short field like softball.
Oh yeah, because I mean, like I said, you get that running start. It's 60 feet's not far. I have some girls that can cover some ground. Like it's not far, and the throws aren't hard enough with the size of that ball. Like yeah, you get a head start.
It's essentially taking slapping to base running. The same principle that works for slapping, you have now taken around to the base pass.
Yeah, slapping ain't going anywhere.
No, there for a while when they changed the rules, I thought it might, but they just adjusted and they kept rolling.
When I first watched softball at the high school level, which I was an adult at this point, I saw slapping. I'm like, how is that legal? Like you Happy Gilmore the softball, and then you're halfway to first before you put the bat down, and the ball's off the bat. It just that's a wild way. I would love to see baseball do it.
When they let them get out of the box and they weren't calling it, it really was
Yeah,
wild. And then now they say any part of your cleat that's on the line, you're in the box. But then, like I know in a high school softball game, how long does it take before the front line of the box is gone?
right. It's gone. The umps and God bless them. This isn't OU softball. We're not having these are some guys borderline volunteering their time to umpire for us. Yeah, they're not watching for that. I didn't know you couldn't leave the front of the box because I've watched ours do it.
Well, it like I said, as long as any piece, that's the rule that keeps it in there. As long as any piece of the cleat is in the box, you're in the box. So how can you tell if the back part of the cleat is in a line that doesn't even exist anymore?
Yeah. And they're running and you're watching the ball and the hit. Yeah.
It's kind of like leaving early. It's very hard for an umpire to call a girl out leaving early when they set their feet on the bag where their back foot's moving first and then they're timing the release of the pitch. Unless it's just flagrant, it is hard to call a girl out on that.
I mean, that's it. Like, I want our girls standing toe in the dirt, heel on the bag, and you're driving off that front one. So yeah, you're not getting called because that's the leg producing the force. And we're working on striding out that first one. I don't want choppy feet. So now we're producing a little longer. I'm getting faster sprints. They're looking more safe.
I always told our girls if the other team's not complaining about you leaving early, you're not leaving early enough.
I like that rule.
Yeah, that's what we want. We want them complaining that you're leaving early. Yes, it draws some heat to us, but all of a sudden you have everybody concerned about when we're leaving the bag and not concerned with what's going on in front of them. And then it just, like you said earlier, it just keeps up in that pressure because everybody's trying to find this mistake that you're making. Well, if you're focused on that, what else can we do?
Yeah, that's just it. Like all the base run comes down to that. Like, how can we make everybody uncomfortable?
And through speed is the easiest way to do it. So pushing that all the time. How are you, especially in a sport like baseball? Most of it is not going to be top speed. Most of it's going to be acceleration. By the time they get up, they're either sliding into the base or they're coming into it in some way that didn't allow them to stay at top speed very long. So how are you creating speed in baseball through good acceleration?
So I said I follow. I think Tony Holler has it right. So we run our sprints. I run a 10 yard into fly 10. I run a 20 and a 30 yard into fly 10. And that's it. I know when we increase max velocity, we're going to increase that acceleration. And when you're talking about bringing it into the dirt, the only big thing I'm really focusing on this year is how those first couple steps look. And that's where I brought in the 20 yard dash. Is I have a dasher silver system, so I can put them right there on that front laser. And it's I don't need to build track stars, but I do need to build track level acceleration and track star like acceleration. As I'm looking at those first 7 steps, and I want to see as much separation between the knees as I can because I need full extension driving out. And I mean, that's how I build it. And I haven't to this point needed to go do anything fancy with bands, do anything fancy with sleds. I said, with the time I'm allotted, it's just that simple. We're going to sprint fast, and I'm going to fix little cues when I need to. But I see our accelerations drop. I got a kid that's close to turning a 102 fly 10 with a 10 yard lead in. So he's most likely going to be our base dealer. He is humming. But and that's how we do it. It's nothing fancy. It's just 3 or 4 sprints, 2 days a week. Vary the distances, measure them, and my baseball boys know the importance. Now the other side effect of that is I have seen increased exit velos. Happy accident.
I may not have associated higher exit velos with speed, but if the CNS is firing at a higher level, it definitely could happen.
Yeah, I don't think when I first got started with Feed the Cats, the baseball coach at the time, I saw Tony Holler speak in Houston, and of course it was for football, but I was like, man, I need this for my sports. Whatever edge I can get, I need it. And so, my baseball coach was, all right, let's do it. Like, if you say this will make them faster, let's get them on these timing games. Let's see. And we got faster. And then baseball started and they hit. And I was like, dude, where'd this come from? He's like, it's got to be the sprinting. I was, it's got to be like, I had kids that were 100 and I had a left fielder. He was 122 pounds maybe that put it on the fence at 365. And I'm like, yeah, I trust what I'm doing in the weight room side to drive the strength up. But I truly think that affected exit velo more than anything. It's because of that. It's the central nervous system learning how to fire not only faster, but it almost it aligns it for me. Because everyone talks about that. You sprint enough, and you'll see kids start to fix their form. And I think it does the same thing in the swing. Is their system learned how to fire quicker, and faster bats mean faster exit velos. And like I said, it worked.
That kind of goes
It,
back to what we were talking earlier with autonomy. If you got them on a timer system and you give them the reps they need, they will try things to see if it makes them faster, and they will stumble on ideas that work for them, and then all of a sudden now they're coaching themselves.
yeah, yeah. I think baseball players too have to do that, right? Because no one's saving you in the box. Like if your swing didn't work, you got to fix it. But like I said, it works, and it's simple. I don't dose it. I don't do. I think I get 12 minutes to sprint my baseball kids right now. So they do their throwing stuff, they do their baseball stuff, and then they come to me. We sprint for a few, 12 minutes, and that's it. But I'm like, man, if we dose that, we're gonna get, 6 sprints a week, 18 weeks, 20 weeks until baseball. It's a lot of sprints, and we
It,
just let it build up over time.
it beats running polls.
Yeah, everything beats running poles. I walked foul poles one time. I did not realize a baseball outfield was that big.
I still, to this day, do not know what the carryover of running polls is to baseball, but apparently there must be a very tight connection because you see it a lot.
Goodness, misery. I don't know.
Things that make an athlete hate their sport for 100, Alex. I mean, it's like,
Oh
why do
my
you do
gosh.
that? You know?
Yeah, you're talking about a sport. You're talking about a sport that there's a good chance your center fielder makes one play in 7 innings. Like all they do is stand out there and swat mosquitoes. And we're like, oh yeah, let's run long distance. Sweet, dude. Let's go recruit the cross country kids. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. When does your first baseman need to have the endurance to run polls?
no, I need my first baseman to be able to jump for when he's overthrown. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have to run back to the fence behind him much, but we'll get him that good, and that's good enough.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I cut my sprints at 40 yards. I'm like, if we're 40 yards, either something really, really good happened or something really, really bad happened, and we can't control either one of those things. And I
Yeah,
really hope it's the first.
yeah, because if it's really really bad, everybody on the base path scored. You're
Oh,
if you got to run over 40 yards, everybody's home.
that dude, they're waving him home at third, and you're like, well, congrats, kid, you got it inside the park. Like, you'll
I've
get to tell your kids about that.
Yeah, you tell them about the one time you smoked one into right field and you got it in the park home run, but you never tell anybody that they overthrew three people and it went across the backstop.
Yeah, one kid tripped on a sprinkler, and I mean,
Yes. Yeah, you can't predict it, you know. But hey, the story gets better with age, right?
yeah, of course they all do.
Yeah, because if you weren't around to see it, I can tell it however I want.
I guarantee you, I'm a lot better today at football than I was when I was 18.
Unless you're in a group of people that played football with you, and then you got to keep it pretty honest.
Yeah, then they know I probably wasn't really that good. I was probably worse than I thought I was at eight. I was probably, yeah, worse than I was at 18 in reality.
You could tell a stranger anything you want, and it's on them to believe it or not.
Yeah. I look a lot more like I played the position I played in high school now than I did in high school. So I was like, oh man, I bet you were great. I was like, yeah, I was 80 pounds less. And they like to bring in 400 pounders in the nose guard and crush my soul. Our coach would be like, let's run it up the middle. I'm like, let's run it anywhere but behind me.
I will create a pile, and if our running back can jump over it, good for him.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the bottom, hating my life.
I had a I had one of my guys, and this year the numbers have kind of dropped off a little, so I didn't have as many guys as I've had in the past. So we started making T-shirts that we would for each kid that we would wear to the games on Friday nights. and I've got a kid that's a stud. He is a stud lineman, and it said number 77 serving more pancakes than IHOP.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it was probably one of the best ideas I come up with for a t-shirt. But yeah, it he loved that shirt.
I'm about to say, if I ever get to work with a lineman, I'm stealing that shirt.
Hey, have at it. My wife cut it out and made it on Cricut. She's really good at that stuff. So all I got to do is come up with what I want it to say. And then after that, she, we had one kid, his family owns a grocery store. So it was like beast mode aisle 7. And so it's got him pushing a grocery cart and it's got a bag of dog food in it. So
Oh, I love it.
yeah, it's just, and it means a lot to the kids, I guess. That's what it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's when they see you walk up and you're wearing a shirt with their number on it, man, you want to talk about buy-in and they know you care.
I mean, that was something I started when I was like, you talk about buying for the kids. This started all before even I was coaching. I was teaching eighth grade math, and I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, I'm going to all the middle school football games." And she's like, "Why?" I was like, "Well, one, I don't know who's going to be there. I don't know who that kid has rooting for him, So I'm going to be there because they deserve to have something." Now, I said, you sit there, you remember, you cheer your kids on. Like, it means it. Like, I got a kid that I taught math to, and then I got to train for his senior year in college. And like, we still talk about the games he played in middle school because like he knew I was there watching him. Like, it's a big deal to those kids. Like, yeah, so making the shirts, making a big deal. I think my high school kids, they used to let fans on the field after the game. So, I'd go down there, I'd make sure I saw all the kids I worked with, congratulated them, talked to them, made fun of them when they made a dumb mistake. And, like it matters. They remember that. It's important.
That's one thing I'll probably kick myself for forever is I had a kid go out to Eugene this last summer and he won Nike National School. It fell just at the weirdest time. It fell at NatCon, and then it fell when me and my wife had a trip planned, and I ended up not going. And it's like that's probably a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, and I missed it because I wasn't able to make it work out. And it's like, how do
I
you?
mean,
Yeah, you got to deal with that.
like my first kid I ever trained privately, which was just it was us knowing the mom, me seeing stuff and taking a risk and being like, I can get him right, which was a very bold statement for where I was in my career. And he beta tested everything for me. Fortunately, it worked out, but he ended up going to Notre Dame, and I was on vacation during signing day.
Oh man, yeah,
And
you just
like, we book it. He's like, "Hey, my signing day," and I was like, "Dude, I'm not gonna be here." And I thought signing day was gonna be the week before, and I was like, that one eats me till this day. The fact that I wasn't able to see him sign that paper. I made every other signing day but that one.
yeah, I had a kid wrestle really well at Indianapolis last year in the Division II finals, and it was just like we had so many kids in the gym, we couldn't get away. You find ways to justify it in your head, but looking back one of these days, I know it was all wrong on my part to not make the effort to get to those things.
I know the more kids you got, like shutting down the private lessons and stuff's hard. Like I got a kid, like I said, I got a kid that's pretty decent at basketball. I shouldn't say pretty decent. He's really good at basketball. I don't know. He's 6'8". That probably helps. Um,
Maybe.
but he's like, man, he's like, I want to get to state. I'm like, you're probably good enough to do that by yourself. And I'm like, dang, that's gonna fall on regional powerlifting. I was like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna get to San Antonio. But like, if you're like, like that's my team. We've talked about that. I was like, dude, I'll figure it out. I'll find a way. Like, if I got the right team of regionals, I can leave, and y'all gonna have to be good, like state level good.
The one thing I think I see is the kids know who has them and they understand life and they get it. And I don't think they hold it against us. It's a bonus if we make it, but if we don't, I think they're pretty understanding.
Yeah, I think they know at this point that we got their back. Like they know that. I watched enough games, and obviously, right? Like I'm spending all these hours with these kids. Like, if they don't know, then I guess I messed up somewhere. But they know, and I try to make every event I can. But it's like last year, we got Tuesday night playoff games for basketball, and I'm like, dude, I gotta meet some math to grade, and you try to watch it now that we live stream everything. Like, it's just hard to be everywhere.
Yes, it every kid needs somebody in their corner, so you just hope you're there when they need you and you make it work.
Yeah, yeah, that's it. Just be there. So just try to be there.
Well, coach, we decided to do this late, and that probably wasn't our best idea. Um, but it worked out and we got through it. Neither one of us yawned too bad. So I appreciate you taking the time late on a Friday night to sit down and do this podcast.
Hey, I thank you for having me on. I it's incredible. You'd even think of talking to someone like me. So thank you.
I get people that give me recommendations, and I got your name as a recommendation, and I'm thankful that people are willing to do that because I don't know where to go sometimes with guests and who to have on. And I rely heavily on prior guests and people to say, "Hey, look up this guy, look up this girl," and that's how we do it. So yeah, you had a friend out there somewhere that said, "Hey, talk to Coach Coleman."
Hey, well, I appreciate them for recommending me for it. That's very nice of them. So,
Well, Coach, I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you for doing this. I had a blast.
yeah, I had fun sitting down, talking shop, talking sports. It's always a good time.
Well, I hope you have a good rest of your evening.
Yeah, you too.